right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks for sticking around for the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Rich Walsh, 412-575-2600 is the number. Chris Mueller will join me on the other side over to 93.7 The Fan Cam. And I know Chris was busy tonight at the Iron Rock Cafe. What's it called?
Iron Rock Tap House, yeah.
Tap House.
Iron Rock Tap House. We had our Next Up on the Fan auditions, second round of them, Rich. Joe Starkey and I were judging along with our boss, Craig Riley. And, man, I think we had, I know we had a lot of people come through and try out, and we had a very strong field of contenders. I sat up there very happy that I got to be in the judge's chair and not that I was somebody competing for a spot because the competition was good. The competition was very good. Almost as good as the competition when you and Pomp take each other to the golf course and have yourselves a match.
We do have pretty good competitions. We want to bring you out there too with us. Maybe get a partner. We'll figure it out. My game hasn't been great lately, so now's the time to get me. Chris, you know whose game hasn't been great? The Pirates' offense. It's been awful. Mitch Keller goes tomorrow. He is tied for the most losses in the major league right now. You got to feel bad for this guy because I think he's second in the majors in quality starts and just bad offense. I don't understand why ownership, management just doesn't see it. What are they doing? I just don't understand. What are they seeing that everyone else sees?
I think some of the most tone-deaf and inaccurate comments that have come out from Pirates management or ownership this year are Bob Nutting saying that he has given this team what they need to succeed. I'm paraphrasing there, but you know what I mean. He said that he provided basically the resources that they needed. Now they need to go out and play. That was obviously absurd. Every time Ben Cherington has opened his mouth and said that, oh, the hitting's going to come, it looks more and more and sounds more and more ridiculous. The bottom line, we had Bob Nightingale on the show today on the PM team, and he said something that has stuck with me really since he said it. And he pointed out that, the Cubs, for example, who are leading the division, were watching the Pirates very closely this offseason and breathed a sigh of relief when they didn't really add any bats to speak of, because on paper this rotation was scaring other teams in baseball, and the Pirates did absolutely nothing to augment that lineup. I mean, it's a disgraceful lineup. Mizorowski went out there and mowed down 8 Pirates last night, or yesterday afternoon, in Milwaukee in 5 innings. I said it yesterday. I'll say it to you today, Rich. That almost should count for minor league statistics for him because that's the caliber of lineup that they're putting out there. And a guy that was brought back last year by Bob Nutting as almost it felt like a goodwill gesture for himself and for the fan base and everything else, and was brought back again this year almost under the same auspices. Andrew McCutchen has been their most consistent offensive player, and he's pushing 40. That is just a sad commentary on how bad of a job Ben Cherington has done trying to build these bats in this lineup 1 through 9.
Why would these pitchers even want to be here? If I'm Mitch Keller, I want to be traded out of here. I mean, I don't see any good in the near future for this team, at least in the next couple years, because unless they're going out and overpaying for free agent hitters, or they're going to trade for 1 or 2 and force them to come here. But who are they going to trade for? It seems like they always want to trade for prospects or guys that are on the verge of doing something good, and they always strike out with those guys, no pun intended.
Well, when you talk about not feeling very good about the fortunes of this team for the next couple of years, Rich, here's the bottom line. The same guy who has presided over this rebuild, which has been so bad through 6 years that it needs another rebuild, is going to be allowed to at least do this year's version of that. He's going to be allowed to oversee the Rule 4 draft in mid-July. He's going to be allowed to oversee the trade deadline right after that. And we've gotten no indication that Ben Cherington's job is in jeopardy. When he got to fire Derek Shelton, he got to have his name on the press release. It wasn't Bob Nutting expressing his displeasure. That's a sign of faith, I would still say, and backing in the GM. When Don Kelly was made not an interim manager, but they took pains to say, no, there's no interim tag here, that tells me that Cherington's sticking around no matter what next year. Because if you were going to bring in a new GM, you wouldn't want to hire a manager as your permanent guy, knowing that new GM would want to maybe run him out of town and bring in his own manager. So, having Ben Cherington continue to preside over this roster rebuild is like a guy comes and burns your house down and then you have him investigate the arson for the fire department. I mean, it's ridiculous.
This is our Xfinity tweet of the night. This is the Arkansas Razorbacks men's basketball team. Odio Thero got drafted. You are a Los Angeles Laker. All right, Pitt Hoops still has to build a team. They're getting guys out of how you're going to get guys
all over
now.
the place,
all over
Rich.
the place, right? I mean, like,
it's impossible
they'll
to
be here for a year and then gone.
It's not worth bothering trying to figure out who they've got yet. The team will coalesce near the start of the season. They'll bring their guys in, and that will be that. I could see the wheels turning while you were trying to remember names, and it's harder to keep tabs on names in college basketball and even in college football than it is in pro sports because there's so much movement. And I am not doing this as a get-off-my-lawn take. These are what the rules allow. I'm just saying it's foolhardy to try to even remember who they're bringing in because it'll change plenty by August or September.
You know, Chris, my wheels were turning because I was at a 10U softball game. My two daughters were playing out in Plum, and I rushed back like you. I had to get back here in time for the show, but it was tied when I left. It was 9-9, and then it went to extra innings, and I was nervous. You know, I'm like one of those guys pacing back and forth. I'm all into it, and I just want to say the Plum 10U girls softball team just walked it off 12-11. I want to mention all their names because they had one heck of a season so far. This was a championship bracket, so they move on to another championship game. But my daughters, Tegan and Quinn Walsh, also Gemma Mills, Carly Kiss, Maddie, Alexa, Lucy, Emma, Mackenzie, Jenna. That's the team that won it. They beat Franklin Regional tonight 12-11. What a great game, though. I'm really into 10U softball.
And just not coincidentally, I saw Pony tweet earlier tonight, Franklin 10U girls softball is absolutely unbeatable. Franklin Regional, this team is a wagon. Plum stands no chance. Get ready, Lady Panthers. I think they're the Panthers out in Franklin Regional, if memory serves. Get ready, Lady Panthers. You're moving on to the next round. So can't confirm or deny that might have played a role in the outcome, but I did see Pony tweet something to that effect while he was on vacation.
Well, the Plum girls won the division, so now they're on to the championship game. So hopefully Pony tweets it again on next week. All right, let's go to Chuck in Uniontown. How you doing, Chuck?
Good evening, fellas, and thanks. This what's going on now is just they're still paying for sins that they should have done 4 or 5 years ago, because to put Sherrington and Shelton in St. Louis, and they're gone after 1 year of this crap. But anyhow, what I want to ask you about, I wouldn't trade Mitch Keller. Would you trade him if he was 8-3? Also, would you trade Mitch Keller even up for either Dan V. Swanson or Ian Happ? Thanks.
You know, thanks a lot, Chuck. I wouldn't be trading anyone right now because I don't trust Ben Cherington. The last thing I want is him trading Mitch Keller away and you get a bunch of bums back. I don't want it. Let's just don't do anything right now and get a new GM and do it in the offseason.
Yeah, but that's not practical, Rich. Would I trade him for Ian Happ? I don't know. I think we're all skewed on Ian Happ because he basically
he's a pirate
turns
killer
into
too.
An amalgamation of, well, yeah, he turns into a combination of prime Barry Bonds, prime Manny Ramirez. I know he's a left-handed hitter, and I used Manny at righty. Prime Hank Aaron. He turns into this unkillable monster when he's playing the Pirates. To your point, though, you say, like, I'd wait and I'd blow everybody out of there and do it in the offseason. I mean, it's not practical. You've got, even if it's, forget about Keller, you've got Andrew Heaney, you got IKF, you might have Key Brian Hayes if somebody decides they love his defense and can put up with the complete lack of offense. They're going to have to make some moves here. They're going to have to move some assets. And I'll go back to something else. I know Chuck, you know, probably our most passionate Pirates fan, and I love hearing him call in and still have the fire burning because he clearly did right there. You know what I would say is like the greatest sin that has been committed against this team this year? It's Bob Nutting who did it, and it's not what people think where he should have spent this or that. I wanted him to spend more money. We all did. We've trodden over that ground a million, different times. He has shown no gumption and no willingness to lead from the front and just say, man, this is all not good enough. I made these hires. I'm going to make these firings too. They took a half measure when they fired Shelton. They should have fired Cherington. And the fact that he didn't fire these guys after last season, or the fact that he didn't blow them all out of there at once mid-season this time and he only went 1 for 2, has left them in this horrible state of limbo where virtually nobody around baseball, or certainly in Pittsburgh among their fans, actually thinks that the general manager should have permission to do any of the things he's going to be tasked with doing. That falls straight back on the owner not being willing to lead with a strong hand and make decisive moves when he realizes that the situation calls for them. And that's a failing on Bob Nutting's part, and there is just no nicer or different way to put it. That's the most accurate telling of the situation.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, you got to blame ownership. I understand a lot of the blame goes to the general manager, who could kind of maybe fix some of the things that the ownership does, but ultimately it falls on Bob Nutting. I mean, when you have 30 losing seasons out of 34 years or whatever it might be, that ultimately falls on ownership. And I know he's only been responsible for about half of these, but they don't spend enough money. I'm sorry, you can't win when you're in the bottom tier all the time in payroll. I'm sorry, guys don't want to come here because you see that they don't spend money, they're cheap. And now you got to overpay for guys. And they kind of did that in, 2013 and 14, bringing a couple guys in here like a Russell Martin. But they're going to have to do it again if they want to win because guys don't want to come here. The only way you're going to get guys is to trade for them. And like I said, I don't have really faith in Ben Cherington finding those guys. Let's go out to the phone lines. Were you going to say something? Go ahead.
I just want to stress quickly, again, it comes back to me to be decisive, make your decisions. Money is a big part of it, but you have to be willing to cut bait when it's obviously time to do that. And this is a roster that is very poorly built. Why the guy in charge of building the roster is being retained is just so far beyond me, particularly when we've seen in Bob Nutting's past that he has been willing to pay to make front office personnel go away. The fact that he's not willing to do that with Cherington is mind-bending. Yeah,
I totally agree. Let's go out to Guy in Ligonier. How you doing, Guy?
Hey, good guys. Hey, the Pirates suck. They need to get a real owner. Plus, we should go get Amari Cooper. What do you guys think?
Well, I was told, being around the Steelers a lot, that they have no interest in Amari Cooper. Chris?
I don't really know why. Because
neither do I.
I know that he didn't have much in the way of numbers with the Bills when they acquired him, but we think about some of the things that Aaron Rodgers likes in a receiver. He likes precision. He likes really detail-oriented route running. Unless Amari Cooper is one of those cases of an NFL receiver who, unbeknownst to everybody but the people closest to the situation, has gone from something left to nothing left overnight, he's the kind of player at that position that we know Rodgers likes. He is a very precise route runner. He is very detail-oriented. He's never been an ultimate breakaway speed guy, but he's been productive because he just knows how to get open at a high level, and he's pretty sure-handed. So he was a name I thought should have been on their list to try to figure out a way to go get for a while, and the fact that they're not interested in him is just kind of a head-scratcher for me.
I agree, because he's an upgrade, I think, to Robert Woods, don't you?
Yes. Yeah. Almost everybody's an upgrade to Bobby Trees, but here's what's going to happen. They're probably going to go get Alan Lazard from the Jets in a trade. I mean, let's be honest. He follows Rodgers a lot of the time. Wherever Rodgers goes, there's Alan Lazard popping up because that's clearly a guy that the quarterback has a lot of comfort with. And if you believe that Rodgers has something left, then you probably would rather have Alan Lazard than Robert Woods as your number 2 wide receiver. My question to you, Richie, is among wide receivers, okay, so Freiermuth's out of this equation because I think we'd all say Pat right now at this point if I gave you the chance. Is the guy who's going to have the second best stats among wide receivers for the Steelers already on their roster or yet to be acquired this year?
I think already on the roster. Only reason I say this is I think it's going to be a similar situation as last year. They're going to try to get a guy that either gets cut or trade for Alan Lazard at some point a couple games in. He won't catch up to someone like Calvin Austin. That's who I would say would be number 2 in receiving yards.
I mean, I'd like that for Calvin Austin, but is that going to be a guy who has 450, 500 yards or a guy who has 850 to 900? I think it's probably more the former than the latter with him. Here's another interesting little nugget about the Steelers, Richie, because I know you like diving into these little nuggets. You have Steelers fever right now, not Bucco fever. I was on a Milwaukee radio station doing a hit, and the host brought up a couple days ago when he had me on that they had some casino sponsoring them, and he brought up Aaron Rodgers' over-under pass yardage total, and I think he said that at that particular location it was something like 3,200 yards or thereabouts, and I think that's a stunningly low number because if this team is going to win and this offense is going to perform, Rodgers is going to be throwing for considerably more than 200 yards a game, and 3,200 yards isn't even that much. I'm just wondering if there are still major injury concerns among these sharp odds makers out there that they don't think Aaron Rodgers, even coming off a full season of games played, can last another full season at almost 42 years old.
Yeah, I think that's the only concern, because I'm thinking it's really low too. I was thinking that over-under might be like 35, 36, somewhere right in there. And I mean, at 3,200, I would definitely take the over. There's no question about it. If he stays healthy, I think he can play. Do you think he can play 15 or 16 games? I still think he reaches 3,200 with 15 games.
Yeah, I think if he plays every game, he's going to get there. I mean, I'm weirdly a little optimistic after hearing him go on Pat McAfee and say that, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is going to be my last season, and that's why I signed a one-year deal. I mean, I think there's no ulterior motives there now, and I think that's kind of a refreshing change of pace. Justin Fields wasn't like trying to sabotage the Steelers to his own ends, but he clearly wanted to prove he belonged as a starter in the NFL. Mike Tomlin never really trusted him fully. Russell Wilson thought he was playing for another big contract from another team. I think that's how he thought last year would shake out, either the Steelers or somebody else. Tomlin didn't trust him. I do think Rodgers has enough gravitas and level of accomplishment as an upper room Hall of Famer to be that Mike Tomlin is probably going to be a lot more trustworthy with Rodgers. And I think there will be better lines of communication there between Rodgers and Arthur Smith, Rodgers and Tomlin. Yeah. I think there's going to be a lot more cohesive work there. And I do think for all of Rodgers, the stuff he says away from football that kind of grates on people a lot of the time and distracts, I do think he's a much more authentic and good teammate than a guy like Russ specifically was last year. I just never really bought that Russ was one of the guys in that locker room. And the way you hear people talk about Rodgers, it seems like that is very much actually the case with him, that he is definitely one of the guys.
I 100% agree. I don't have Bucco fever. I don't have Steeler fever. I got Mustang fever. Tell Pony to pick against us again.
Done. Who are you playing next time? I'll have him custom tailor make a tweet for you.
I'll have to find out. Thanks a lot, Chris. I appreciate your time. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Hopefully we see you on KDKA News next.